everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's case I'm going to be talking to you about is the Nicole Perry murder case. So there was a body that was discovered in some trash bags at an illegal dumping site. It was a normal November afternoon when Bexar County Public Works employee Oscar Flores was asked to go pick up some trash that was off the South WW White Road. The area was known as an illegal dumping site. When Flores and his co-worker arrived, that they had noticed several bags. While a couple of bags were easy to pick up, two bags that was in particular were not. One of them had got ripped open. Quote, "I noticed hair, long thin hair, which usually I would think is a dead animal, but the hair looked to be human, to be an animal," Flores said about the horrifying discovery. Flores said that he had noticed a silver necklace that was sticking out. He immediately called his supervisors, who then called the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. Inside were pieces of cloth and napkins that had some blood on them. They were kitty litter and a pair of shoes. Nikki was written on the inside of these shoes. Inside the bigger bags, there were two blue bins that held the body of a 31-year-old Nicole Perry, who is also known as Nikki. It would be a few weeks before anybody knew what actually happened to Nikki. Some new details would come out when a man named Rafael Castillo was then arrested in early December, almost a month later. The arrest affidavit revealed some disturbing details. The crime that was committed with a machete and an axe. Nikki had been brutally attacked and also murdered as well. This was inside a known drug house in the 300 block of West Harlan Avenue, and this was on the south side. The investigators discovered that there were two witnesses that had told the police that Raphael had attacked Nikki, cutting her hands off with a machete and struck her in the head with an axe. Afterwards, he made her boyfriend and another woman then clean up the crime scene. It would be almost 2 years later that the full story of what happened to Nikki was to be revealed, when Rafael Castillo headed to trial. Rafael Castillo cut off her hands and buried the axe in her head, and this was because he did not think that she owed him any appropriate respect. Prosecutor Jennifer McDaniel said in her opening statements during the trial itself had lasted a week. Castillo then was charged with first-degree murder but was not facing any death penalties. He was out on bond the entire time but was subject to a strict house arrest. One of the key witnesses in the case was Randall Fulgham, Nikki's longtime boyfriend. Here is his account of what happened on that night. Quote, "He warned about the stuff that she was saying," Fulgham said. "Was she frustrating?" McDaniel said. "Yes," Fulgham said. "Was she being rude?" McDaniel asked. "Yes," Fulgham said. "Was she being violent?" McDaniel asked. "No," Fulgham said. He was telling her that she needed to shut up and just be still for a while. Otherwise, she wouldn't like the results, Fulgham said. He grabbed some tape and started taping her hands up. "I was frozen at first. I thought that it was just a scare tactic," and then he gets a machete. He goes over to Nikki and he's looking down at her and he is speaking, but I couldn't tell what he was actually saying. I wasn't really paying attention to him talking. I was watching Nikki. At some point, I think he's going to put the machete back down after picking it up, Fulgham said. He raised it, and as soon as he raised it, I already knew what he was going to be doing with it, and I turned my head and I heard it hit. It sounded like I would never forget. She was on the couch at first, but ended up on the floor. She wasn't saying a word, but she was on her side and she kept moving around, lifting up her head. She kept trying to look around. The only thing I can think of, she was trying to look for me. He went and grabbed a black axe. He swung it and buried it straight into her skull. He carried on as if it never happened. After Castillo made Fulgham and Vanessa Vargas clean up, during that process, Fulgham said that they forgot about Perry's hands. I had forgotten to put them in with the body, so I had nowhere else to put them, so I wrapped them up in plastic and put them in the crock pot, Fulgham said. A man named Stephen Cleveland was then called to dispose of the body. He was the one to first tip off the police about the murder. The eyewitness revealed horrific details of the woman's death that was involved in the machete and the axe, and this was on the witness stand. Rafael Castillo on trial for 2020 murder of Nicole Perry. Jury on Thursday heard horrific details of the moments that a woman was killed with a machete and an axe. Rafael Castillo is on trial for the murder and the death of Nicole. The jury was shown images of the murder weapons and the bins was disposed in before Perry's boyfriend Randall Fulgham had took the stand. Day 2 of the testimony has begun in Rafael Castillo's trial. The murder weapons were shown to the jury just in the morning, which included the axe and the machete. Castillo is on trial for killing Nicole Perry back in 2020. Fulgham, an admitted drug user with a lengthy criminal record, spoke about his relationship with Perry and how they ended up at a friend's house when they had become homeless. When they got into the home, a known drug house in the 300 block of West Harlan Avenue, he said that they stayed in a detached room in the back of the property with a man that was called Gizmo and his girlfriend and Castillo. Fulgham said Perry started mouthing off to Castillo one day, and after Castillo warned he had warned her, stop, he ended attacking her. He started taping up her hands and then he grabbed a machete, Fulgham said. Fulgham told the jury that Castillo then swung the machete 3 times, severing Perry's hands, and after Castillo told her to stop moving on the ground, he then grabbed this axe. He grabbed a black axe, swung it, and buried it straight into his skull, Fulgham said. During the attack, Fulgham said that he was frozen and scared and that afterwards Castillo ordered him and Gizmo's girlfriend to clean it all up, otherwise they will end up dead as well. Fulgham testified that he removed the axe from Perry's body and put her into the bin, put her hands in a crock pot, and then cleaned up the blood. When Fulgham was first arrested, he admitted to living in fear of his life because Castillo told him he had eyes watching him, but said that he eventually told the truth. I had nothing to live for without Nicole, Fulgham said. Thursday was the second day of Castillo's trial. If he is found guilty, he is facing up to a life in prison. A killer had chopped up a mother of 3 with a hatchet while she was still alive for just disrespecting her fiancé's name in front of him, detectives say. Rafael Castillo, age 26, is accused of hacking a 31-year-old Nicole Perry's hands off with a sharp implement before dismembering the rest of her body in San Antonio in Texas last month. He was arrested and charged with murder on Wednesday. Castillo is said to have put Perry's severed hands, complete with painted fingernails, into a crock pot cooking device afterwards. Perry was a mother to 3 girls who was ages 15, 11 and 10, and according to a GoFundMe page that has been set up in her own memory. The bloodbath allegedly began when Perry argued with Castillo that insulted her fiancé, Castillo's friend, in the alleged killer's presence that saw Castillo tell Perry to shut up before tying her hands together. Perry is then said to have been beaten with this axe and other parts of her body had subsequently removed with this cutting tool. Castillo allegedly told another witness present that he had disemboweled the woman because she disrespected her fiance's name. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar said Perry died in the worst, gruesomest attack, and that Castillo wanted to make an example of this young lady. Perry's fiancé, who has not been named, is said to have witnessed the torture killing. Castillo allegedly warned that any attempt to save Perry would result in a man's death, and is said to have brandished a pink camouflage patterned gun while threatening him. Afterwards, Castillo then called another pal to help him dispose of the large package. Bexar County Sheriff's Office says the same witness said Castillo then approached him with this crock pot containing Perry's severed hands. Realizing the container's contents, he quickly left. It is very unclear whether that unnamed witness was aware of the package that he'd been asked to help with earlier was actually a corpse. Part of Perry's body was dumped along a rural side of San Antonio, with the investigators yet to recover other bits of Castillo's is accused of cutting off. And this was from News 4 SA that had reported. Her body was discovered by a work crew completing community service hours later. Castillo is said to be a gang member, although the sheriff's deputies do not believe Perry's murder was gang-related. He then had been arrested, and there was over claims that he and a pal, Devin Gomez, kidnapped and robbed a pal who had believed the men to be good friends. Castillo had been charged with murder and is being held in jail ahead of his next court appearance. Okay then everyone, so that is today's case. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I see you all again next time. Take care. Bye bye.